Minister of Power and Energy Partly Champika Ranamaka says, or has urged the public to use electricity sparingly between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. The minister points out that this is owing to the fact that a large expense is being incurred by the ministry as electricity has to be generated using thermal power plants.
According to the Ministry of Power and Energy, it costs 6 rupees to produce a unit of electricity with hydropower. However, this cost increases from 30 rupees to 50 rupees when producing a unit of electricity using thermal power. The supply of electricity from hydropower plants have been limited. Generating of electricity has been restricted as the water capacity in reservoirs has gone below 25%. It's the people who will have to finally bear this cost. So we kindly request the public to control the use of power as much as possible during the 4 hours between 6 p.m. and 10 p.m. We especially urge the chairman of Pradesh Sabhas and mayors of municipal councils to light street lamps only between 7 p.m. and 5 a.m. However, the water at these reservoirs, which were filled to capacity just a few months ago, have almost emptied in a relatively short period. We have started to supply electricity to the northern east. Therefore, the base capacity has increased. When such large-scale programs are being carried out, we need to release water to generate electricity. Owing to this reason, the water levels at reservoirs have declined. With the reservoirs being emptied, a switch to thermal power was inevitable. However, with this switch, various problems have cropped up with regard to the thermal power plants. We have to face issues at 2 major thermal power plants and technical issues at 3 other sub-plants. An imbalance has taken place due to this reason. Therefore, there has been some disruption of electricity in certain categories. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Power and Energy conducted religious ceremonies at the Sri Mahabodhi and Mausikali Reservoir in the hope of receiving showers. Water reservoirs located near the Mahavil River was released and tanks located in low areas overflowed. That is what happened. There would have been no need to go behind deities and gods if the water that was physically received was used intelligently. Therefore, I would like to clearly say that the management of water has been disastrous. It is the responsibility of the relevant authorities to manage this carefully.
We're talking about murder victims, potentially terrorist victims, having their phones hacked into. It is absolutely disgusting.
No one appears prepared to take responsibility.
Details of that story coming up later on from our News First International desk. But for now, moving on with more local news. The petition filed against the verdict of the first court-martial and the habeas corpus petition filed on behalf of former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca, claiming that his arrest is illegal, were taken up in the Court of Appeal today. The bench comprised of Justices W.L. Ranjit Silva and Anil Gunaratna.
While calling the case, Justice W.L. Ranjit Silva informed the lawyers of both parties that a bench comprising of himself, Justice Anil Gunaratna and Justice Satya Hettige have been appointed to take up the 2 petitions. Justice W.L. Ranjit noted that since Satya Hettige is a justice of the Supreme Court, the President of the Court of Appeal has granted approval for him and Justice Anil Gunaratna to take up the 2 petitions. He said that thereby in the future, the 2 petitions will be examined by himself and Justice Anil Gunaratna. At this point, the lawyers representing both parties requested this to be recorded in the case file. Subsequently, the 2 judges informed that the 2 petitions will be taken up again on the 19th of September. They also ordered that former Army Commander Sarath Fonseca be summoned on each court day. The Prime Minister has told the truth in Parliament that drug smugglers are in Parliament. While one is from Colombo, the other is from Kelnia. Not only drug smugglers, there are also rapists. My congratulations to Sangha for speaking the truth. Apart from Arjuna and Hashan, there are other cricketers who speak the truth. We invite them to join us and become politicians who speak the truth.
You're watching Primetime News on Channel 1 MTV. Up next is Action TV.
at a time where the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Industries, who imported a stock of petrol against the compulsory specifications adhered by the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation for nearly 3 decades and who went on leave prior to retirement, enjoying his retirement, the corporation is facing unprecedented challenges. Granting compensation to vehicles that were damaged subsequent to using this petrol in question as promised by the minister, and repairing fuel pumps that were damaged in around 500 filling stations which belong to the Petroleum Corporation are some of those challenges. The key challenge is to rebuild the trust amongst the public about the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, while there is also a competitor in the market. An environment to obtain the approval of the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee for the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Industries was created by cancelling the tender that was forwarded by the only supplier who came forward according to the 5th May tender. Incidentally, this cancellation took place at a time where the Technical Evaluation Committee of the CPC had approved the supplier's offer. Tenders were called yet again on the 25th of May, and it is the first supplier who came forward. At that time, the Technical Evaluation Committee approved the offer subject to a condition where this petrol stock should reach the country between 10 or the 11th of June. In considering this condition, the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Industries received the permission from the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee to cancel the second tender as well. A supplier who came forward based on an invitation made by the Secretary submitted its offering letter with regard to the supplying of the stock of petrol on the 2nd of June. The Secretary, who emphasized that he had taken these urgent measures in a bid to prevent a shortage of petrol in the country, has incidentally prevented the supplier's offering letter reaching the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee himself. A letter that was sent to the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee by the Deputy Commercial Manager of the CPC stated that they have received an offer from a supplier. Surprisingly, this letter bears today's date. Furthermore, this letter has misled the SCAPC. Hence, in his offering letter, the supplier clearly stated that it can only bring the stock of petrol to the Jebel Ali port in Dubai between the 8th and the 10th of June. However, in this letter, the Deputy Commercial Manager of the CPC has informed the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee that the supplier assured to make the shipment between the 4th and 6th of June. Moreover, the supplier notified about the standard of the stock of petrol which he possessed in his offering letter dated 2nd June. However, the Deputy Commercial Manager hid this fact from the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee. In this questionable letter, the Deputy Commercial Manager of the CPC stated that he had reserved a vessel from a Greek company for $585,000 with the approval of the Secretary to the Ministry of Petroleum Industries and seek the approval of the Standard Cabinet appointed Procurement Committee. Incidentally, the supplier, who was rejected twice, had in fact agreed to bear the freight charges by the supplier itself.
Co-Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Sajid Premadasa, says that it is the government's responsibility to spend the money that was allocated for the war on public welfare today. The parliamentarian made this observation while addressing a Sasuna Taruna program which got underway in the New Hella area in Imbulana.
This function was organized to donate financial aid to the Sri Shalya Ramapurana Raja Mahaviharya in Nivan Hella, Imbulana. The present leaders of the country have the opportunity of spending the money that was allocated for the war on public welfare. This money can be used to build houses to those without houses, to eradicate poverty of those suffering from it, to create employment opportunities for those suffering from unemployment. However, those in power have been unable to provide, even in the name of humanity, a decent life to the common man. Meanwhile, Parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa also donated financial aid for the construction work of the Masjid Mukarram Mosque in the Kanthur area in Ruwanvalla.
Still in local news, Sri Lanka's High Commissioner of India, Prasad Karyavasam, says that he is hoping to have discussions with the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha Jairam.
The High Commissioner added that the main aim of the discussion will be to create better cooperation between Sri Lanka and Tamil Nadu. He further stated that a date for the discussion will be decided within the next couple of days, and he believed that the discussion would be held in Tamil Nadu. However, leader of the Anna Dravida Munnetra Kalaham party, Jayalalitha Joram, took her oaths as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu in May, challenging Sri Lanka. It is significant that shortly after, the newly appointed Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu requested the central government of India to impose economic sanctions on Sri Lanka. Some of the key topics of Jayalalitha's election campaign were forcing the UN to make Sri Lanka accountable for crimes committed during the war, expediting the resettlement of the displaced, providing a solution to the ethnic crisis, retaking Kachativu Island, and finding a speedy solution to the fishermen problem.
According to police headquarters, the suspect connected to the murder of two women in the Neeladura area in Kahavatta has been arrested. A communique from police headquarters released this evening stated that the suspect was arrested in connection with two murders which took place on the 3rd of April and the 19th of June. The police have also found the tools which are believed to have been used in the murders. Meanwhile, another suspect who was arrested on an earlier occasion in connection to the murders has been remanded and further investigations are underway.
Moving on to business news. It has been decided to develop Katana as a tourist city. At the Cabinet press briefing today, Minister K. Rambukwala said that Cabinet approval has been granted to assign a private company to carry out a feasibility study for this purpose.
Cabinet spokesperson Minister K. Rambukwala said that the Katana tourist city will be implemented as a direct investment project.
An
80-hectare land area will be used for this purpose. The expected foreign investment for this project, which will consist of 4 5-star hotels with 2,300 rooms, an exhibition and convention centre and entertainment facilities, is 1.5 billion. Cabinet approval has been granted to arrive